Hi guys, thank you. Um, it's nice to be here. It feels a little bit like an imposter syndrome giving a talk to people. I'm not an expert in this space. I'm just somebody who's trying to do what I can do best. My journey didn't start with fashion or sustainability, even. It's gone through many stages, many cycles. Before I start, I'd just love to know why you guys are here. Right? So, can a few of you give an introduction? What do you do? Why are you here? Who are you? And I'm going to try and make it as engaging as possible. It's not just going to be an hour talk. There's going to be a discussion and a workshop almost to say, can we come up with a solution together? Right? So, somebody wants to go, or do I start pointing?
So I work with Jockey India. So I'm from the fashion biz. So this thing just came in my Instagram while I was scrolling. So I've never heard of this Creative Mornings, and I've been following the brand No Nasties for a while. So I even tried applying for a job. I just gave an interview, but I think the area was in Goa, right? So I work in Goa, so the location was not good enough for me. So I'm still a jockey. So let's talk about the job part. So I want to know more about the brand and where they started and everything. So that's why I'm here. So thank you.
We're still in Goa.
Hi everyone, I'm Pranav. So I run a brand called Cuttlefish Organic Clothing. So we probably basically do the same thing, and we're very new. We're around 4 years old. So once Karishma and Ron told me about what's going to happen today, I thought we must have a look and come and meet you guys. So that's why I'm here.
Welcome. Cuttlefish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell who the introverts are in the room when they're all looking down, like, don't pick me, don't pick me. uh, Thank you guys for coming in. I'm going to share a little bit of my journey through different phases of my life, but I'm going to give you cycling anecdotes, just to make it a little cheesy and a little fun. My name's Apu. I go by Apu. Please feel free to call me that. I started my life in Bombay. I went to high school there. As soon as I was old enough to learn how to cycle. I've been on a cycle all my life. About 6th standard onwards, I used to go to school on a cycle. In fact, kindergarten, I used to go on the little small seat of the cycle wala instead of a bus. And that's how I fell in love with cycles. My first near-death experience with a cycle was when I was trying to scope out this really cute girl who I had a crush on, who lived in Bombay on Pali Hill. If you guys know where that is, it's a steep slope. And I was going downhill, and my brakes failed, and I literally reached the end on Carter Road and went under a bus through the tires. Wow. And my mom wasn't aware that I was going that far. I was allowed 2 kilometers, and this was about 8 kilometers away. So literally went sliding down, hit the pavement, and saw the bus go above, and I don't know how I survived. So that was fun. Didn't stop me. I did my engineering in telecommunications, electronics in Bombay itself. Had a great group of friends, very adventurous. One day they decided, let's go cycling from Bombay to Nasik, which I think is about 400 kilometers or something. I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. Went home, told my dad, he's like, yeah, you should absolutely do it. It sounds fun. Like, there's one problem. He's like, you don't have a cycle. Didn't own a cycle at that point, but I borrowed my friend's cycle, my girlfriend's cycle at that point. So I rode 400 kilometers on a girl's bike, which was fun, and somehow made it alive there. So as every good kid from the generation does, I did the same. I did my engineering and went abroad for my master's. Went to Austin, and then I got my first job in San Francisco in the .com era, which is just around 2000, if any of you remember that. Most of you might not be there. But a lot of money. I made it 6 months too late into the .com era, where people made millions. San Francisco is an extremely hilly city. So I used to go up and down with the cycle, like 30-degree slopes as well at some points, right straight into the garage of my .com, which was already worth 500 billion, I don't know, whatever. And ride into the garage and park my cycle and be surrounded by Ferraris. Everyone in the company owned a Ferrari because they had started 6 months ago and they'd cashed out. And my first job was in the tech sector as a software engineer. Was there for a while and then went to New York. worked there again in banking, in software, cycled my way through Central Park, got knocked over by many yellow cabs of New York. The cliche is true, they're terrible drivers. They don't like cyclists at all. Got tired of that. I was like, what's the point in making so much money? I was doing probably at the peak of my career in New York. But I said, let's give that up. Took a one-way ticket to Sydney and lived there for a year. Cycled through Bondi Beach, past the Opera House. Used to have a daily commute on my cycle to work as well. Absolutely stunning. But I'm telling you all this not just to say like, oh, how cool this guy's been everywhere, but to tell you how lost I was. I kept trying to change what is outside and not really address what was inside, right? So bhadakti atma kind of soul. And the goal was always to find happiness, but I kept trading views of the Golden Gate Bridge to the Brooklyn Bridge to Sydney Harbour Bridge, when really it was just this bridge which I had to connect with as well, right? So between my heart and my head. I kept talking about sustainability, I kept talking about purpose, but I didn't change what was inside, I just changed the environment outside. And at some point in your life, that gets tiring and exhausting. I'm sure a lot of you have done some introspection and even maybe pivoted your life because you reach that point where you look for meaning as well. I think this was before my actual midlife crisis. This was just me in my midlife career crisis as such. And I distinctly remember one point which changed the trajectory of my career, working in software, working as product management. When I read this quote from by Mahatma Gandhi, that happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do is in harmony. And that hit me hard, right? I was talking to my friends back home, like, oh my God, I'm not finding meaning. I'd already discovered or read about the issue of the challenges of cotton farming in India and the number of farmer suicides in India. And I kept talking about it, but I was there working for Australia.com, making websites for Hugh Jackman for their travel series as well. And that just didn't sit well. So eventually came back to India and I started No Nasties back in 2011. The idea was to create a purpose-driven brand and live a purpose-driven life as well. The fashion industry just happened. So we're a fashion brand, but it surprises me that this is where I ended up. It's been a manifestation of our social and environmental causes and projects, but it looks like a fashion brand outside. So for me, this is not just a fashion brand. And I'll get to that a little bit later as well. The goal is, how can you connect to consumers through fashion and make changes, create awareness, but also offer a solution by way of our clothes. Just doing gyan awareness doesn't really move the needle. How do we make it tangible, approachable, affordable for all of us to make change, right? All of us will. All of us want to for sure, right? You want to make a change, but maybe it's too expensive. Maybe it's too convenient. Maybe that's not your style. What if we took away all the excuses and said, we're going to give you the right product, the right solution, but you don't have to worry about sustainability, we'll do that part. Right? So that's how we've created No Nasties. It's designed for a better planet. Sounds good, but how do you have a fashion brand that helps the planet? Right? How bad is the fashion industry, do you guys know?
Very.
Horrible, very. All the clothes, the jeans go to landfill. Yeah, a lot of water as well. What else? In terms of ranking of industries, fashion is the second largest polluter in terms of greenhouse gases and is the second largest problem for climate change. The largest being oil and gas as well. And the meat industry and the food industry is pretty soon after. Let's understand the scale of the problem. Yeah? Who's the extrovert here? How many clothes do you have in your wardrobe? You, man. Let's say tops bottoms, innerwear, socks, scarves, jackets. Approximately how many clothes? If you guys, all of you think about how many clothes do you actually have? No judgment. 125 or so, easily, right? Do you have an answer? Yes. Liar. You're so well dressed and stylish. I'm sure you're more than 40. You probably have 4 on right now. 40? Socks, towels, etc. Yeah, just think of how many garments do you wear? How many? Hundreds? At least 100. 500 plus? 200? 1,000? Get out of here, fashion consumer. Including saris and stuff. How many do you buy? How many new clothes do you buy every year? Yeah, about 20, 30, 50. Yeah, if you're a Sheen hauler, you'll buy 50 in one day. So hopefully none of you are here for that. Obviously, clothing is a part of our life. We want to be stylish. We want to be cool, whatever our style is. I say I'm not a fashion person, even though I run a fashion brand, but that is my style statement. I want to be casual. I want to be relaxed. I want to be unseen, but I'm still consuming clothes. Who knows the population of India? 1.4 billion. Multiply that by an average of, let's say, 20 clothes on average for the country. Villagers will have around 20 clothes when you count everything. How many? Who's a good math expert? 28 billion clothes just in India. And if you think that you make maybe 20% of your wardrobe changes every year, think of how much that number is. That's the scale of the problem. And this is just India, which is by far not the largest consumer of clothing per person. Right? The West consumes a lot more. Luckily for us, we don't even have to deal with winter wear, which is a huge portion of wardrobes in some cases for sure, right? But you see what the problem is. And there's lots of social environmental issues, but let's say we want to talk about climate change today, right? The one metric for us to measure how good or bad a product is carbon footprint, right? So scientists have agreed, we're going to say what is climate change is caused by greenhouse gases. How do we measure that? We measure the carbon footprint of every garment and see how bad it is, right? Carbon footprint is usually measured in kilograms of CO2e. CO2, carbon dioxide, and E is equivalent, right? There's many greenhouse gases. We always talk about carbon dioxide is because it's the common factor and the unit which scientists have adopted for that. In clothing, there's different stages which a product goes through, right? So there's life cycle stages, there's production, there's use phase, and there's end of life. So we're going to do some conversations around those things, right? The current fashion model is take, make, dispose. Consumerism is at the highest it's ever been. In India, we've always been more conscious, but the trends are going the other way, right? If you talk about a couple of generations ago, they would mend a lot more, they'd use their clothes a lot more. But now we're like, what's the latest color, right? So consumerism is on its rise. Multiply that by the population and the buying power of our middle class, and we have a bigger problem than ever before, right? And it's a one-way street as of now. Buy, you dispose it. We're not reusing it as much. We'll give it to folks maybe a little bit to extend the life cycle, but the use phase of it, you'll give it to a cousin or some house help or donation, but only a fraction of us do it, right? Think of how many clothes you've given in the last year. So how do you guys mostly dispose your clothes? Give it away. Charity. Or you exchange it and stuff as well, right? So just think of how many of your clothes have you actually done that with, how many actually sit around as well. But this is mostly a dead-end street because it's a linear path. Yeah? Now, talking about what goes into making a garment, there's obviously different steps. This was quite revealing. 15% goes into fiber production. The growing stage, or if it's polyester, the number is much larger. But the math experts here will quickly glance and total up this and say it's not 100. Yeah, it's because it's an average, but it varies based on the actual selection, the material, and the production process. Making it, growing it, actual preparation, fabric production, dyeing and finishing, assembly and distribution. Do you guys know how cotton is made? How many of you are wearing cotton today? Cotton is the fabric of India. Most of us are wearing cotton, I think. Yeah. Then, and what are the other kinds of fabrics that you have? We're talking about fiber production right now, right? Sorry? Linen, silk, wool, synthetics, nylon, rayon, yeah, lycra, yeah. So out of these, some are natural, some are synthetic. Sadly, synthetic is the majority of what in the world wears. Yeah, it's cheaper. The oil industry has taken over everything, so they are finding different ways of using that for sure. So nylon, lycra, all of them are a lot of them are petroleum based as well. So viscose has some natural, some synthetic part as well. Polyester, yeah, it's pervaded the entire system so much. When we go to the villages, the women are wearing saris made of polyester, made in China. And I'm like, why do you do this? You're growing cotton, right? So we work with cotton farmers in Maharashtra, inner Maharashtra, Vidarbha area. And I'm like, you grow the cotton. They're like, yeah, but these are fun colors. They're cheaper. I can get a sari for 200 rupees. It lasts me years. Anything which is natural will have a deterioration process and an end of life sooner, right? And for them, obviously, cost is the main factor for them. So talking about cotton, do you know how cotton is made into fabric? Cuttlefish brand, organic cotton. You should have a technical answer, hopefully.
The cotton is basically extracted using machines. Then they go through a process of.
What is extracted from machines mean?
There are two ways. One is hand pluck. You can hand pluck the cottons out,
Yeah.
or normally now to get faster yield, people use machines that go through the crop at one go, and that actually deteriorates the plants and the soil as well. So, when you say organic, more of hand picked is very important. So once that is done, you take it into a facility where they're actually made into longer threads, finer cottons. You have different variations, which are very technical. You have 30s, 32s, and all of those things that come into the picture. Then that gets into spinning mills, which actually comes out as yarns. So the yarns, you have dyed yarns or raw yarns, and then they get into dyeing. And then finally you get fabric, raw fabric, which is again processed into compacting, and then you have your production.
Sounds really complicated, right? And it is. There's so many stages to make this. Why is it so popular then? Right? Cotton grows throughout India. Yeah, cotton is the fabric of India. As technical as that sounds, it is beautiful. And I'll tell you, if I simplify it, what you're wearing with cotton, you're wearing a flower. That's all. Yeah, cotton grows on plants about mid-height into flowers, bowls, which are hand-picked for the most part in India still. And if you're doing organic cotton, they're usually small-scale farmers. It's all hand-picked as well. And all of these processes of ginning, spinning, weaving, if I were to explain it to a 5-year-old, you're plucking a cotton flower, you're cleaning it, and you're twisting it. Cleaning is ginning, twisting it is spinning. You clean it a few different ways. You know, you're braiding your hair, combing your hair, you're combing it. So there's a combing stage, carding stage, just to kind of make it cleaner. And once you have the fabric, then you can weave it, you can knit it, you can do khadi, you can do automatic machines, everything. But at its purest form, it's a flower which has been cleaned and spun. You're wearing flowers, right? And how beautiful is that? The only time when cotton clothes need external inputs is when you want to color it, you want to bleach it, etc. On its own, cotton is white. In India, it's white. The brown part usually comes from impurities, or certain species do have other colors. In South America, we just read an article. There are blue, yellow, pink flowers, natural. So in those cases, you don't even have to dye it. So whatever colors you're wearing right now, that is the only additive which has come into the process of making cotton. Right? It's beautiful to think of it that way. Now you compare it to the other fabrics, say silk, hemp is really popular, bamboo is really popular, very sustainable as well. But they need a production process. Yeah, there's a little bit more extraction of the cellulose to break it down using chemicals and then to extract it out. Yeah, we use that in the food industry as well. You put everything in, you compact it, you get a hot dog or a sausage out of it as well, right? It's similar, or pasta or anything in the tube structure. That's how fibers are made for other sports. And the carbon footprint obviously goes up if you are preparing it a lot more, right? Synthetics, imagine the life cycle of anything which is petroleum based, right? Crazy. Now from there, fabric production is, India's been doing it forever. You guys know the different techniques. You can do handloom, khadi, all of it as well. But we have pretty sophisticated machines. India is one of the largest producers of clothing. We're the largest producer of organic cotton at this point as well. And then goes the dyeing, finishing, stitching, assembly, stitching. What I love about this is that I used to think that logistics to transportation is a huge problem. I cannot buy cotton from China. I cannot buy cotton from Turkey. We still don't. No Nasties is 100% Indian organic cotton. Yeah, everything is made here. But the distribution problem is actually not as big. It's only 1%. So we have options there to say, don't worry about the green miles or the carbon footprint of your transportation before you worry about everything else. It's definitely a factor. 1% of the large number is huge, but it's not the area for focus till you solve other problems. Yeah? In a food analogy, if you're having bhel puri, you're putting the little save on top versus everything which is deep fried inside. Solve the deep fried problem first. Yeah. But the beauty of this is these 3 stages till you get fabric is 55%. Right? That I did the maths. 15 plus 28 plus 12 is 55, right? Yeah. And we have fabric already in our existing clothes, in our existing wardrobes. What if we were to reuse that fabric? Right? Billions and billions of clothes, which will at some point reach end of life or end of style or end of interest for us, and we have to move on and find another use for that. But we always start from scratch, for the most part, right? I think, is anyone wearing recycled clothing at this point? Right? No, and this is new. Anyone wearing upcycled? Like overstock usage? You know, you've heard of brands like Doodlage, which focus on overstock as well, right? No Nasties uses overstock fabric. Overstock is fabric left over from the factory, which other brands are like, this is waste. Or there's a 19-20, you say, color variation. This is not the right Pantone shade. Reject 1,000 kilos of fabric. We're happy to use that, right? The majority of the clothes we've made in 15 years is all overstock. Yeah. As a small brand, it works. When we start making larger lots, we don't have that much fabric. But majority of us clothes so far have been made with overstock. Yeah. It's not circular, but at least it's reclaiming what is waste, what could have gone into landfill as well. But this is the opportunity. What if we can take existing fabric, which is already sitting in our wardrobes? This is my cute way of saying recycle. Right? And that's what we want to talk about today. How can we make the process more circular? Because that's where the saving is, for sure. And then we'll talk about why are other brands not doing it? Why is No Nasties also struggling to do this as well? The goal is to go from a linear economy, not even just at recycling stage. Recycling is one or two more circles, but to make it circular, where nothing goes to landfill. Yeah. Imagine a world, maybe not too far off, where all our farms die off. Right? You know where climate change is going. We don't know what the tipping points are. Every scientist is saying the tipping points are arriving a lot earlier than we expected. Say 200 years from now, there's no more farms. You've seen movies on that as well, right? Interstellar, thank you. Right? Farms are dying off. You have what you have on the planet, and that's all you're going to get. We're going to be forced to do circular. It sounds maybe daunting, but nature is circular. Nothing goes to waste in nature. It takes its time, things are done. We talk about water life cycle. We talk about trees. We talk about any biomass in nature is circular. Nothing goes to waste. It's us in the last few decades, maybe 100, 200 years, where we've disrupted the circular part of it and impacted the way climate is as well, right? But the opportunity and the goal is to make it circular. Recycling is good. We recycle a lot in India, but it's still less than 10% globally. Yeah. One industry where we do a great job recycling is paper. Almost all your paper is recycled. Yeah. And it's very sustainable in form because it's easier to just take it, mesh it, soak it, becomes paper again. You dry it, it becomes paper. Doesn't quite work with cotton. Doesn't quite work with fabrics. It works better with cotton because it's still natural. You soak synthetic fibers, polyester, nothing's going to happen. Right? Or if you have clothes which have, including ours, we're forced to use polyester threads sometimes because it holds the fabric better, it stitches better, it doesn't iron off and burns. So as technology improves, we are using more cotton threads as well. But there are practical challenges and gives and takes in every stage of this as well. How do we make a circular economy? You guys ready for conversation and discussion and open forum? Let's break it down into the 3 stages of a garment. Yeah, cycle. It's a newborn fabric, almost new. Doesn't fit me. Why bother sending it back? If it was on sale, it's not returnable. What do? Right? Or as it often happens with me, I stopped working out for 2 months. Now all my clothes don't fit me. Right? They're new. Or I work out for 3 months, and now I'm back to going from medium to small, medium to large. It just changes, right? All of you wasted, maybe not, hopefully not, but maybe practically yes. New clothes or new-ish clothes don't work anymore, right? So that's one problem. So we're going to have one discussion around that. I'm just setting the context, and then we'll go to try and find solutions for this. Midlife, you've worn it for a while, you're tired of it, or maybe it has some stains, coffee spill, wine spill, haldi spill, or a small rip, or what else can damage your clothes? Or you just get tired of it? Ironing, yeah, very common problem as well. For ironing stains, or you get those dots and stuff, and you don't want to wear a nice outfit outside anymore. There are certain clothes which are for certain occasions and purposes. They don't meet that. If you're somebody who has to go to a lot of parties, you can wear a dress or a sari only once, and you can't be seen in it again. What do you do with those? That still is newish, maybe? Yes, you're right. Yes, one person did it, and we're all talking about it even now, right? But it's great that it's moving the needle forward, right? It's making it cool to do that, and which is one of the problems we will face as well. Why are we not doing this more? And the last stage is end of life. Oh yeah, fabric's torn. It's had its day. What do you do with this at that point? We're going to come up with ideas. I need help as well. We are trying to define what No Nasties should do, and we use No Nasties as almost an R&D lab as well to say, can we prototype this, take it to the commercial level, make it so cool and attractive that we take market share from other brands so that everyone is forced to do this, right? We've been working on this for about 2-3 years, but I know we haven't cracked it yet. So I'm hoping to get some ideas from here. And also, given that I've been tackling the problem for a while, I can give you challenges of certain solutions as well.
I don't know if everybody has one thing that they go to who fix things. And all they do is just fix things. And yeah, it's pretty easy. Like, it doesn't fit me, I'll cut it on the sides. It has a slit now and it fits me. If it's too loose, I'll get like a tux done, so now it fits me again. If it's old, I'll cut some part of, like, if it's a good design, I'll cut the design and I'll patch it over some shirt of mine, and now it's a style statement. If there's a stain, I'll paint over it. I'll give it to an artist friend and ask them to spill some paint over it, and then that's art again. Yeah, that's how I take it.
Yeah, and that would be for midlife
And new ones.
and
yeah.
new as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so amazing. So we have solutions in local tailors, in upcycling artist work as well, right? Everyone has access to these. How many of you are doing it? For all your clothes? Yeah? Amazing, right? The majority are still not. I'm not, even though I work in this space. It is still a step that you have to take to invest time into a solution, and we have 99 problems as well, right?
So the effort that goes in to fix thing, to buy it is much easier and much cheaper.
Exactly.
The tailors, they charge a bomb for this.
Even
To
if
do
they
this,
don't.
even if this designer, even the
Yeah.
cost angle of it.
Yes.
And there's always a fear that he's going to spoil it.
Yes.
Because the brands, they have a certain pattern, certain thread, certain color, which they don't have access to.
Yes.
So ultimately, you do it once or twice, and then you say, no, it's not going to work out for me. It's easier to buy.
Exactly.
And
Dispose it off, get a new one.
dispose it off. You find a younger
Yeah.
cousin who can fit into it, gift them, and
Yeah.
get it done.
I'll keep giving you guys challenges for the solutions as well because I want to make it a little deeper than this. The other challenge is clothes are not designed to be fixed. If you have a sweater, you can't cut it. If it's knit into a sweater, it can't be cut. It can't be patched. You have to find a new solution for that. There are certain fabrics as well which will not allow you to do that, right? They'll just fall apart as well. So we'd love to do it, but I think the essence of what you said is it's not convenient. We have a busy life. I have to go to my law firm. I have to do this, right? So how do we solve that problem, right? So that's the conversation as well.
Fashion is something using a mix of different colors, a mix of different fabrics to make a trendy clothing. In the same way, I think we will be able to do it. And when even Sir is also telling that it is more expensive than going to a tailor and fixing or altering the dresses, I think always there is a one word or a concept called as a trust comes in.
So trust is a factor, and that expertise is a factor as well.
Stitching it by ourselves, mending by ourselves is also an art that we can pick up. Mending your clothes is not that easy. Learning to stitches is not that difficult, what I meant. So maybe this is a skill we can learn during our free time and fix our own clothes.
Sorry, I didn't understand. What is free time?
Wow, Bangalore culture. I can't relate. I'm from Mysore. I have more time.
One, when we consider newborn clothes, so in my own wardrobe, majority of my clothes are borrowed from other people, right? So that it's pretty much like you're solving the first 55% of the problem. So I don't buy clothes, right? And if I'm not, so that this idea of swapping and thrifting and exchanging clothes, see, everything that is sustainable actually comes down to building a community. Right? Not everyone has the free time to learn stitching, but if one person learns stitching, we can all go to them. Right? So the idea that we look at smaller communities, we look at smaller ways of doing things as opposed to bigger solutions, and smaller solutions will take time. Right? So one, of course, is borrow clothes, don't buy them, and also lend them out in whichever way that works. In the middle of the thing, when you've lost midlife crisis, don't remind me. But a lot of it is, for me, the solution very often is to just shove them at the back of the wherever. So, this is ADHD, face blindness, time blindness works. So if you don't see them, they're not a problem. Right? So you put them at the back, cover them up, stick them in a bag. Okay, my mom was famous for doing this, putting them in bags and putting them under the bed. Put them there. Then a year or two later, open it, they'll feel you. Works. Okay. End of life, the biggest solution I found is converting them to pochas. And pochas are a very versatile thing, right? You can have a pocha for every corner of your room. You can have, again, you can recycle pochas. Certain pochas are used in certain seasons, right? So for me, that's majorly what I solve my solutions with.
I love it. It's something we've done a long time. Now, when you take this problem to scale, how many clothes did we say we have in India and how many pochas do we need, right? So it's there. We're doing it brilliantly. India inherently does not waste, especially in the rural sector.
So, especially for my work clothes, I do have a tailor, it's made to measure, but I always have a problem that to maintain it, it costs a lot in terms of the laundry, and it's like 20 to 25 wears is the ironing and all those things. From the convenience point of view, I always thought that isn't there a subscription thing where they come, they have all my details in terms of if I gain weight, if I lose weight, they will come to know very easily, and it's very easy for them to mend it, and they can take it back from me after like 15, 20 wears, and then they are the ones who have the organized facilities. They have all the resources with them, so it's very easy for them to again recycle it and again make it for someone else who is of my who's very similar to in terms of the physical attributes to me, and then give it back, and they are taking away from me in 15, 20 wears. And if they have to amend it, they can also do that way. And if it is a company doing it, it will be expensive because of the convenience and the time it will take them to build up the supply chain also will be more expensive than the others, but it is solving a lot more problems for me. And if it is creating carbon credits for them, it's even from an economic point of view will work out for them.
Absolutely. Like, so repair as a service, circularity as a service. Question for you, and don't mind me asking pointed questions. Will you wear the clothes from somebody else who've gone through that phase? If they don't tell you. But realistically, right? So if you want to wear work clothes, you want to wear a smart work shirt, and there's amazing thrift stores around as well, right? Including the one, here's a plug. No Nasties is in a store called Paperboard Collective at Copper and Clove in Pranagar. The basement is a thrift store. Love me twice. Beautiful, beautiful stuff, right? I was blown away yesterday. They're selling clothes for 4,000, 5,000, which are brilliant, purses, accessories. That industry is definitely picking up and becoming cool. But for my day-to-day clothes, I'm not sure. I still don't have that. I'll wear it because it's cool and trendy, but my practical work clothes, active wear, somebody sweated in that, right? So those are the challenges which could come in, but it's part solution for sure. Make it convenient. I'll pay somebody, please take it as a service, right?
There has to be a sense of permanence even in the newness. And that response, because I think we can't, as much we can change our ways of why we should consume more, why do I need change in wardrobe, why do I need something new, as much that narrative has to go on to educate, aware, and bring on everybody on board. But I think parallelly, there's also the work of how we can design better, how we can design for permanence, but still evolve some part of it that might not have as much of an impact, that also do it responsibly. So this newness and the balance of permanence is something that, like there's a classic example of MacBook. Earlier we would repair, exactly, the light bulb. So earlier you could repair it if you open. Now if you just touch any of the screw, it's out of warranty. So, and even the whole how automobiles are designed, chassis, you keep a lot of permanence and then you evolve or like change some part of it.
It could sound a very, very big word for such a problem. But unless there's a revolution, because we are here fighting against the mites of fashion industry who have biohacked you to think that you are yourself only you when you wear a certain thing in a certain season. And unless that goes away, that is not challenged, I'll not be compelled to try any of these solutions. It has to come from within. I should want to retain my clothes. I should want to mend them. I should want to have an alternative use for them. Unless that is done, I don't think it's possible. We buy most of the clothes because they are on sale, not because we want. Because the Black Friday sale is going to go off in 2 days. So we go and queue and buy the latest fashion. So if we are fighting the mites of fashion industry, it's got billions of dollars. They have ways to biohack your brain to think. And we don't have the freedom. We think we have a choice. They are making us buy what they want us to buy. So unless that is challenged, unless that is created into a mindset, a revolution, the coming generations feel all these solutions, although in front of us, we would never try it.
Revolution is amazing. Yeah, we're part of this movement called Fashion Revolution. It was started about a decade ago after the massive disastrous factory collapse in Bangladesh called the Rana Plaza incident, where about 1,200, 1,400 people lost their lives. So a global movement started to say we want transparency. Who made our clothes? Where are they made? Are they working properly as well, in proper conditions? The saddest part of it, 2 or 3 days before the factory collapsed, the workers had left and saying this is too unsafe. They were forced to go back in. And the biggest brands, without naming names, you are all making clothes in these factories. They don't even know they're making clothes in these factories because they'll have code of conduct for their main factory, but it gets subcontracted. They don't know, right? At that scale, it's not possible. So there is a global revolution called Fashion Revolution. Please take part in it. Bangalore has its own chapter as well. Just join it to see what are the problems. How can you challenge your day-to-day life to take on the big giants? So.
Okay, this has nothing to do with taking action, but is this on? Okay. Something I was thinking of is like the easiest thing we have to try to do is change our mind with not respect to what we do, but be okay with the sort of deformities and like, are we okay with the pants having stains? Or like, is it okay if you have like if a shirt's like sort of cut, right? And I see that when I have clothes, it'll be like it changes. It'll be I'll wear it outside after some time. It's something I only wear at home, and then it'll become like the thing I mop the floor with. So yeah,
that's brilliant, right? So just to give you an example of what is happening in the industry, where it's cool to wear ripped clothes. You guys know what I'm talking about? Denim. Ripped jeans is the trendiest thing for decade. How long is it? Fashion for over a decade or so. It's become so cool. Companies, brands, fashion brands, so we don't do denim yet, are paying to get them torn. There's machinery invested in millions in the industry to say, how can I rip it as much as possible till that, what is the appropriate amount of tear as well. But we adopted that, not in previous generations, but in our generation because we made it cool. It was the Alia Bhatt of the 80s who said, I'm going to do this, right? So we don't think we are controlled by fashion trends, but oh my God, we are. Yeah. You've seen Devil Wears Prada, maybe. Some of you have seen that movie, where she talks about the significance or insignificance of one color, where it has a global impact as well. Right? She says, this color you think is just a purple, but it's going to change the world. So I don't remember the exact quote, but watch that to see what the influence is. But how do we make it cool, right? Cool, convenience, cost are the 3 C words for us, for sure, when we talk about climate change.
So one is that you are getting your clothes mended by the tailor, and second is also if we can personalize our own clothes. So for example, in Crocs we have these personalized pins that you can put on your shoes, and then you don't throw it because this is something I've personalized for myself. So the whole emotional value of a garment or whatever you're wearing just increases. So it helps in increasing the overall life that I have a garment like with me. If I'm gifting something to my friend, for example, if I've embroidered a small patch on it, maybe with her name or anything like something of significance, that just increases, I guess, the emotional quotient of the garment as well, personalizing it and just increasing the overall life that it is with you.
I love it. Emotional value for it, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to throw something away your grandma's made for you.
Exactly, yeah. I actually haven't. My grandmother made one kurta for me, so I have still.
No matter what happens in your stages of life, cycles of life, you will make sure it goes to the right person.
Exactly.
You guys know Shein? Yeah. Shein, Shein, is the largest fast fashion brand in the world out of China now. To give you a scale of how large it is and how damaging it is, according to me. Oh my God, this is going to get on YouTube. Great. The video I saw on this, I'll just give a stat and then over to you, yeah? H&M, Zara, Shein, 3 large fast fashion brands. H&M makes 120,000, according to the video, 120,000 styles a year. Not products, styles. That's the least one. Zara makes 250,000. Shein, 1.5 million styles a year. Multiply by the number of products they make. Oh my God, talk about carbon footprint. They're probably going up beyond some countries at this point. 1.5 million styles. Think of how many days, how many per day as well, right? And now this Temu, which is going to be same scale or something as well. So
this has been my observation. We are moving towards everything being fast, like quick commerce, fast fashion. Everything has to be faster. Like if we just slow down,
Yeah.
I think things will be much better. And the second part is, so for me personally, it's not about something getting torn or worn out. It's more about that trend or that style is no more relevant. So I have so many clothes which are bought like 5-6 years ago. They're perfectly fine, but then I don't feel that confident in wearing them because they're like old style. So why don't we have fashion brands, or there could be independent, I don't know, designers or people or studios who are taking these clothes and transforming them as per the new trend and then selling it at a much cheaper price. So you don't have to spend a lot of money on getting new clothes, but you are reusing your existing clothes but getting it at a new look. It's like a refresh or revamped version of your old clothes.
yeah, absolutely, right? So it's important to ask why. Why are they not doing it if there is an opportunity? First of all, there has to be a market opportunity for that. Yeah. But even in what your points were, if I were to dissect it, you want somebody to take your clothes, old clothes, to fix it, to resell it to an audience which has to be large enough, our market, or to come back to you, great, yeah, to reform it, but at a low cost.
Yes.
You understand? So the challenge is there. The opportunity is there, but it's very small and very difficult to do all of this and saying, I'll give 200 rupees. It is my shirt, my material. You come and pick it up from home, you drop it off, I'll give you 50 rupees extra. And by the way, I want it in 2 days. And if I don't like it, I won't pay. Right? I told you to stitch like this, you stitch like this. We've tried it. I'm just giving you the challenges. I would love to do that. But again, it comes about if you keep remembering the C words, convenience, cost, and coolness. Can we make it? So convenient, you want a service, you want a low cost, it has to be trendy enough, right? So do that. And by the way, we need to do this at scale for all of us in India. I'm just talking India. Right? We should do it. But we have to solve these problems for us to adopt it.
So we know how the trend goes and how the Gen Z consumers are per se. So now it's the term which is very popular and trendy nowadays, right? Gen Z. So not every Gen Z will, have the same clothes for more than 1 month. It literally changes every month. Now, let's say every week. So it's like that. So the brands are also promising that, they are recycling their material. And take brands like H&M. They take clothes from you, like used clothes from you. And then they promise that they recycle it, and they literally launch a collection saying this is made out of recycled materials and stuff. So when someone was talking about circularity or repatching and mending and stuff, so even Levi's per se takes clothes from you, and then if you want to mend it or something, I hope they have a workshop in their store, so you can go and then you can customize it and then repatch it and do stuff like that. So brands are promising that, but I don't know. It's a very, whatever they're producing, the impact is very big. But what they're promising and they are saying ki we are doing stuff to, manage is really false. And I don't think it's working. So that's one thing I wanted to add. And the second thing is, so in India, like you said, Fashion Revolution, right? So there are many brands like Fashion Revolution who are bringing in initiatives. So there's one initiative called Reweave. So where they collect clothes from, which is end of life clothes, they collect it and then they segment it into different composition, like polyester karke, they, segment it and they chop it off and then they add like, 20% or something of virgin material and then they reweave it as a new yarn, and they use it as to produce again product out of it. So it's like a circular way of it's like a circularity thing, so that even Indian brands are doing it. So I was wondering why No Nasties hasn't brought in such initiative where you take in clothes and then you segment it, chop it off, and then use non-virgin materials to manufacture, something like that.
We'll get to our solution. We're brainstorming a solution together, but we've been working on it and we have solutions. And I'll definitely love to share a little bit more. You spoke about H&M and recycling.
Yeah.
You spoke about, your second point was reweave and circularity. Amazing. And then No Nasties as well, right? I love that H&M talks about giving your clothes back and that we'll make new clothes about it. You guys picked up the keyword? There are articles, there's research about how all those used clothes have ended up in landfill or second-hand markets from Gujarat to Ghana. Yeah, great initiative. Even if a small percentage is done, sure, let's be positive and say they're moving the needle forward. Yeah. How many clothes do they make? How many do they recycle?
That's what I love.
It's great if it's actually an initiative, but it's really challenging at that scale to say we're going to take 10 million clothes we make a year and put that.
Marketing, strategy to get customers saying,
Absolutely, right? Come to our store. There's a bin there. Please come to our store. Bring your old clothes. Oh, by the way, there's 1,000 new clothes to buy inside. Right? We give you credit if you give your clothes back.
Yeah.
Here's 500 rupees. That's your marketing budget.
Yeah.
Fine. Let's say they have the right intentions. Right? Let's give them that credit. But how much are they actually doing? Do they have the structures in place? Not yet.
Yeah.
When will they do it? When you demand it. When she says, I've given my old clothes back, show it to me. Right? There's no accountability, there's no transparency. Right? It's great that they're talking about it. It's great that they're doing something about it, but it's a minuscule fraction of a percentage of what they overall do. There are definitely smaller brands like Reweave who are doing a lot more and are fully committed to it. In fact, just talk about market challenges. A few years ago, there was very expensive R&D project funded by a lot of the top brands in Sweden or Norway, where they did this for all materials. Now, when you're talking about reweave, it can't mix all different fabrics. You can't take a polyester thread and move with that.
all the fumes and everything
Yeah,
from the fabric.
exactly. But they found a solution.
Yeah.
They did that. They said, I think Levi's, Adidas, all of them were invested in this. I forget the name. And they shut down last year. It didn't work in terms of numbers. At that scale, they needed that much coming back from us as consumers, which they didn't get as well, right? So it is expensive to do this. That's one of the reasons why it's not done yet as well. It's done at the small scale. But we don't want, at least from our point of view for No Nasties, we don't want this to be a cute little project on the side in Goa when you come visit. That's not changing the world. How do we create sustainability at scale? Whatever solutions we have, let's say these are our starting points, our blueprints to say these are the technologies that do work. And how do we take that forward? Right? So Reweave is great. There's so many doing even Recharka, doing work with waste plastic, as well. There's Thela, Thela.co.in, which is completely making products from discarded plastic bags. We didn't go into each stage, but quickly, newborn stage, you want to make sure you don't impact the existing garment too much. You want to create the least footprint on recycling it or making it circular, right? So our solution is, you guys can shift if you want. Yeah. How do we look at each stage and say minimum impact, minimum damage to the existing clothes? For newborn clothes, give it away, sell it. So there's a consumer to consumer possibility. There's a brand called Real Love, a solution called Real Love, which we have on our site as well. If you don't like the size you bought or it doesn't fit you or you don't like the color, you can go to our site and say, I want to sell it, and customers can buy it directly from you. They'll come pick it up from you. This is the service. You'll get almost 80% of your money back depending on the quality of the clothes. So that can be for newborn as well as midlife. Yeah, midlife where they're still decent clothes, definitely an option to thrift. You don't want to deal with it. You don't want to buy old clothes, but there are enough people who think thrifting is cool, including myself and including a lot of folks here who've mentioned it. Say, I'll find somebody else who likes this or fits into this, whatever the criteria is, right? So midlife, thrifting is really powerful. But what about mending, right? So we tackle the different issues on why something is not wearable anymore. It could be a stain, we can re-dye it. It could be a tear, so we can mend it. Or it could be a burn or some other variations where we try and find it easy to fix it rather than going one more level, which is end of life. Don't take it to end of life. Keep it as far as you can from landfill. Yeah? And how do we make it cool as well? And we'll talk about what we do. And then end of life, instead of it going to landfill, go into a pota, go into our mats. A lot of our colorful mats which we use are mostly from waste material. Goes into filler for pillows, for quilts, for soft toys, anything which gives it a life which is a little bit more higher shelf life and more permanent as well. Right, so we have these solutions. So just quickly, we spoke about circular economy. So we can return it, reuse it, recycle it, repair it, reuse all of this, where we just say, please don't send it down here. Consumerism, fast fashion, it's cool to do this. I need new clothes. Gen Z, not to blame them too much, but is what they've grown up with, right? But they're the ones who have to fix it because it's going to become their problem, for sure. Society perception and mistrust of second-hand clothes. Is it clean? I don't know who's worn this. What will my aunt say if I go to a wedding or to Alia Bhatt's award ceremony wearing used clothes? Where is the Versace label on that, right? So how do we change that and say, let's make it cool, right? In there. The second-hand market doesn't exist in India at the level it does in, say, Europe. If you go to Spain or the Nordic countries, they love thrifting. Yeah, so the society is geared for circularity there as well. And maturity of the consumer mindset too. Right? Someone brought that up saying, what is our point of view on this? How do we change that? It's not as profitable. You think it's cheap. We made an entirely circular shirt. We call it the re-shirt. Our tagline for it is the most sustainable shirt ever made. There's nothing new in it. It's all natural. It's all recycled. We've taken old clothes, including things from my own wardrobe, including waste from fabric floors. And we worked with folks out of Ero in Jaipur who break it down into the fabric into strips, hand weave it back into fresh fabric, working with artisans in Rajasthan. Completely natural dyed, indigo dyes and other plant-based dyes. Coconut shell buttons, all of our buttons are mostly natural only. You don't use plastic buttons. The thread was circular as well. It was recycled, and we did it, right? It's beautiful. It's sold out. If you go to our website, you'll still see maybe one shirt left. It is the least profitable shirt, lowest margin I can make, even though there was no new material. Yeah, fashion brands typically work on a 80% margin. That was 20%. It was a loss-making thing for us once we marketed it because it's expensive, because we don't have economies of scale. All of this costs money. Forget the transportation cost. Even if you do it at scale, it'll come. But you want to pay the artisans the right wages. You want to spend on indigo dyes. It's cheaper if I put chemical dyes, right? So those are the practical parts of a brand not adopting this because it's too complicated or not too profitable as well. It works in smaller scale if you have an audience which says, my brand only does the perfect world, and hence you have to position it and pay for that extra. But the industry right now is not adopting it for the same reasons. Yeah. Also, there's other aspects, right? If everything is circular, what happens to the entire industry? What happens to our farmers? No Nasties was started to work with cotton farmers. So what happens to them? What happens to the workers in the industry as well, right? We can solve these things. It's the same question when we ask, why don't we stop coal and petrol? There are coal miners who we have to think of as well, but they have to go on to other jobs because that's where the world is going as well. Yeah, but those are questions which are very important for India as well. We don't have answers. And transportation and logistics at scale. It's not the cost or the carbon footprint of it, but can we come up with centers, shops? What if every shop had that? If I go to the UK, every supermarket has a recycling bin as well. You can drop it in, you get change back, right? Or you get credit from Waitrose or whoever you're buying from. No Nasties has been doing it for a while. We will continue to do it. I'll tell you what our current solution is. We call it the circular closet. It is a project for us, not our main work. Our main work is still as sustainable as we can do it, but we want to keep pushing the envelope. So we break it down into resell, refresh, and recycle. Recycle, and we can go further into upcycle and downcycle. We have a consumer to consumer option, the Relove option. You can go to our site and resell your No Nasties clothes. There are many, many brands who offer the same solution who are sustainability minded. So please go look at it and see that as well. We work with a thrift store as well to say we'll donate it to a local thrift store if we can do it. We work with a local partner to refresh your garments. Send us your old clothes back, drop it off at any of our stores. Bangalore isn't set up yet because we haven't worked out the logistics, but any of our Goa stores, we are Goa based, if you missed that. We will mend it, we will re-dye it, we will find another solution for it. We work with these guys called Sensible Earth. They have a Living Labs program, which is more of a lab structure, but we are trying to make it scalable and commercial as well. If it has stains, we will dye it with natural dyes and give it a second life. If you want to buy it back, like somebody suggested, yes, just tell us that and we'll do that. Yeah, this is all work in progress, but we're already months into the work. We want to mend it as well, but make it cool. So our current idea is our logo is anyways a plus sign, to almost make bandage style stuff, which will be black or green, where you come in wearing, saying, okay, oh wow, you're wearing a No Nasties circular closet stuff. It's a statement for you to make that, look how conscious I am as well, right? But that could be adopted by every other brand, or there could be a universal design language which says this is mended as well. Yeah, we're talking about patches and stuff as well, which could be fun patches like the Crocs idea. You can personalize it as well. But we want to try and do it at a scale. Yeah. So as of now, if you drop old clothes back, we find a way to work with these. The same, and then recycle. I spoke about the reshirt, which is a completely circular product as well. We can't afford to do it, right? Our normal shirts are 2,200 to 3,000. That shirt costs 5,500, 6,000 for us to sell at the lowest margin possible. Yeah, we made about 400 or 500 of them still. Yeah, 5,500, 6,000 is a statement shirt. You'll wear it when you want to say that's what you've done, right? So if it can't be fixed, if it's end of life, we make it into tote bags. We cut it up. We do collages, brocade work, and bring that. And if it can't be even, if the fabric is completely gone, there's a reloom stage where we make soft toys with it. Yeah. When I say we, it's our partners, Living Labs, Sensible Earth, who's doing this. But the end goal is nothing goes to landfill. Yeah. We want old clothes back. The beauty, the ease of working in this structure for us is that we know No Nasties has only always been 100% organic cotton. So I don't have to worry about impurities of other fabrics. Now I know I can actually go to the circular portion completely, right? I have to worry about threads still, but our buttons are biodegradable, compostable as well, so we are fine there. Our tagline now is designed for a better planet. It starts from the design stage. What thread am I using? What buttons are the easiest parts? But long shelf life, using overstock fabrics, using the right fabrics as well, while still looking at the consumer's demands. So we have three concepts. We do want circularity as a key factor. So we use a lot of overstock fabrics and compostable trims as well. We use only natural materials. We are currently organic cotton only, but next year you'll see a lot more fabrics, natural fabrics as well. Yeah. We're designed for carbon negative. I didn't speak about this much because the topic is cycle, but our entire ethos is to say, how do we make your purchase help the planet, not harm it? Carbon negative means you are removing more CO2 than you create. All of us have a carbon footprint for everything. So what we've done, and I think we're the only ones in India doing it with data and transparency, We work with this Canadian firm to measure the carbon footprint of every garment we make. We look at fabric composition and sourcing. We look at fabric consumption. And then we map all of that to one CO2 figure of carbon footprint. So say a shirt is 15 kilos of CO2 footprint. We make it negative by offsetting, by removing 45 kilos. We're 300% carbon negative to say that you're not just doing less harm, you're actually making it positive. We do that by investing in carbon offset projects like solar, wind, biogas, soil carbon. Our latest partnership is working with organic cotton farmers in India who get credits for regenerative cotton. They use different farming techniques to say that their farming itself is producing more cotton than, so they are carbon negative in that scale itself. So I love that it's gone full cycle. And the money which we give for our offset projects goes back to the farmers as well. Yeah. Again, just to simplify this, for 10 years, we were making slow fashion, less carbon footprint stuff, but less bad is still bad. How do you make it good? Yeah. Not buying clothes is saying I'm stepping out, but you're not solving the problem yet unless you're directly investing in solutions, right? It's like saying I'm not voting, not my problem. Not directly, the analogy isn't perfect, I understand. But imagine climate change is all of us going towards, on a river going to a waterfall, which is the doom and gloom of all of us. Fast fashion is going on a speedboat. Slow fashion is going on a raft. But you're still moving forward. We have to reverse it. We have to get off and actually reverse it if we're going to avoid that waterfall, right? And that's where our carbon negative model comes in as well. We minimize our footprint by being local, organic, and using regenerative agro. This is work in progress. This is the new buzzword for cotton farming. And we're also planet positive. So it's not just about the fabric and material, but it's about a social aspect as well. We're a vegan brand. We're a fair trade brand. We're transparent as well. So you can find out supply chain information for anything on our website. This is what we do. We're 100% organic, fair trade factories. We're the first fair trade licensed brand in India. There's some challenges with the fair trade system itself, but all our factories are fair trade certified. Yeah, which means no child labor, fair wages, safe working conditions, none of the Rana Plaza, Bangladesh factory issues over here. Vegan, we don't want to use animal-based products. It's just kinder, it's better for the environment as well. All made in India and carbon negative. Yeah, we've been around for a long time. We make women's clothes, men's clothes. Sometimes we do children's clothing as well. And we have our own stores. We're online as well, obviously, nonasties.in. But we have 3 stores in Goa. We have 1 store in Bangalore as well, in Indranagar, at the Copper and Clove Cafe, if you guys know where that is. Yeah, it's a vegan cafe, so perfectly in sync with what we do as well. So do visit. This is where we are, right? We say we're a fashion brand, but we say we're not just a fashion brand. Fashion pollutes the planet. Not us, we are fixing it. We're using fashion as a way to reverse the impact of climate change. And our larger vision is, what if by regulation, by law, every brand had to do that? What if every purchase you made was carbon negative, was helping the planet, right? What if you were responsible for paying for the damage for that, right? Or make the brands responsible. We don't charge you extra for this. This is my cost. If I'm unsustainable, it's affecting my bottom line. What do you think happens if H&M has to pay for their carbon footprint? Within a couple of quarters, they will be the most sustainable brand ever, right? What if you do that by law? Sounds like a tall order, but I think it's been done. In the food industry, we're so used to seeing nutrition facts, right? That wasn't there a couple of decades ago. Now you know, you can compare apples to apples, how many calories, how many carbohydrates, all of that, because it's a law in India that you have to have nutrition facts. What if we had nutrition facts for garments? For everything, right? What if it was mandatory to report your carbon footprint and what you're doing on that, right? We make it a regulation. It's already happening in some parts of the UK and Europe. Fashion brands have to report carbon footprints. They have to be transparent. They can't make greenwashing claims. It's coming into law as well. The problem is there. It's our problem. It seems out of sight, out of mind. It seems like a far off future problem, but you know what's happening with the weather. You know it's affecting all aspects of your life. Figure out what is your role in changing this. Are you the one starting a new organic cotton brand, right? Do that. Ask these questions, make mending cool, find communities which come together to say, let me learn how to stitch. I don't know how to stitch, right? But I would love to learn and be part of that as well. And there are chapters everywhere. Join Fashion Revolution. You don't have to buy anything. You just have to ask the question. Ask your brands, who made my clothes, H&M? Just figure out what it is that is stopping you. What is your point of view, your perspective in your life, that why are you not doing this yet? That's it for me. Thank you.